never really a dull day, is it, in the world of West Ham, especially when we're going through so much change. You know what I mean? We're expecting it to be quite intense in terms of the transfer news, etc. We're doing a fair bit of it ourselves, of course, with X, etc. And there is West Ham are into a lot of, looking for a certain amount of players at the moment because we're looking to rebuild the squad under Lopetegui and Tim Steidten, etc. So it was widely expected that was going to be the case, but it does feel as well there's a lot more other news sort of circulating around the club at the moment. It just feels like it's very, very much thick and fast. We've got a bit of an update later on. We've got a transfer update coming from X later, and there's a few bits going on there, so I'll do that later this evening. But I just want to quickly talk about a couple of things that have come out in the press. So, well, first of all, it's the bid. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a bit later. First of all, I want to talk about though the injury to Edson Alvarez. So Alvarez was taken off while playing for Mexico in Copa America, and the club have now had it confirmed, I believe, that the player's now going to be out for about 6 weeks. So it's a blow, and we don't need this really. I mean, if he's going to get injured though, this is probably the best time for it. Do you know what I mean? When we're not playing, it's out of season, but it does mean it's going to hamper his pre-season. It's just not ideal. It really isn't ideal. We don't want to, and it's a serious injury. It's a grade 2, I think, tear to his groin. So it's not something that's going to be easy to get over. He can't run it off exactly. So 6 weeks out. So as I say, timing of it's not horrendous, but it's just not ideal for what we need at the moment, especially because I just feel like he's going to be a valuable player. He, of course, has been linked as well to Manchester United. We talked about that recently. West Ham have got absolutely no appetite to sell Edson Alvarez, like we haven't got any appetite to sell Jared Bowen to Tottenham or Bowen to Newcastle, etc. I just don't see it. And also, there's obviously the rumours going around about Kudus. I've been pretty confident for it. I don't think the player's going anywhere. Because there's a lot of talk about his release clause, etc., etc. But as far as I understand it, we've got no concerns at the moment of losing our key players, unless, of course, like astronomical bids come in. But at the end of the day, I don't think many clubs can put in astronomical bids at the moment. The way the FFP's been shaping up, it's preventing that kind of spend anyway. So I just don't think West Ham have got anything to worry about. Particularly us as fans. I don't think we need to be concerned at this stage of losing any sort of key players. And also bearing in mind, obviously, the Edson Alvarez injury may well play into our hands a little bit there in terms of Manchester United. Well, are they going to go for a player now that's been ruled out for a best part of 2 months? I'm not sure. So there we go. So Edson Alvarez, as I say, out for 6 weeks, and we'll be back hopefully for the start of the season. But yeah, he's going to obviously miss a little bit of the pre-season time, so it's not ideal, but it is what it is. Side Benrahma, there's a bit of movement on him. So it looks as though Lyon want to sign the player. We understand it to be £15 million. That was the agreement we had in place with them on his loan agreement. Now, obviously the loan is now expired. Lyon wants to sign the player wants to go, but Lyon had an embargo which was preventing them to get any deals done, which was causing a bit of concern actually, because I think that West Ham wants to sell the player obviously wants to go, and we want the funds. We want to use this money to continue our rebuild this summer. So having this sort of hanging over us was a bit of a problem, because it looked like we might well have to then try and go to market to sell Benrahma. Now the update is that Lyon, actually the embargo has now been lifted and they are now free to do business. So we are expecting actually that in the sort of the coming days a bid is going to come in for Benrahma from Lyon, and hopefully we can get that over the line. It's really weird. I don't know what your thoughts are, but Benrahma's one of those players I kind of think I'd like to know how well he'd do under Lopetegui in a way. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have been that disappointed had he stayed, because I just feel like we've seen some good moments with him. Obviously, he's been there for the big moments, hasn't he? You know what I mean? The final, etc. But it does feel like his time is up, though. I think it's more because the player wants to move as well. I think he likes it in Lyon, etc. So I think that's where it's shaping up, that he will go there. We're expecting a bid now from Lyon very, very soon, as now that embargo has been lifted. And I think the fact we had an agreement in place already with the fee, it shouldn't be too difficult to get done. So it looks like Lyon will be signing Benrahma then this summer. The other thing, and the big news, this is what I was kind of referring to earlier, was the Shaquille O'Neal story. So this was a really random story that sort of hit the press, and it went kind of everywhere really. And what's quite interesting is it's not come, all right, it came from the Sun, to start with, but it also has done its rounds also elsewhere in the press, which suggests that there's something in it. Now, basically the news is that Shaquille O'Neal came to London Stadium last season, fell in love with the club, loves the Premier League, loves football, etc., etc., and wants to buy into a football club, and West Ham is a club that he wants to buy some shares in. Now, as we well know, Karen Brady is currently working on trying to get a new shareholder. I think 25% of the club is up for sale. Shaquille O'Neal doesn't have that money. Don't get me wrong, he's a very, very wealthy man. He might have a couple of quid in his pocket. A couple of quid more than me, maybe. But he is not in the realms of a billionaire, a multi-billionaire. He's not a Krasinski or a David Sullivan, okay? So I think his net worth is something like 600, 700 million or something like that, you know, peanuts. He's a pauper. But apparently he is interested in buying the club. Now, ex-WHU employees provided an update on that, and he has said that the club have basically denied it and said they don't know anything about it. He hasn't approached any shareholders, etc., etc., and that's kind of where it is. However, there is a little bit of interesting part to this, that there seems to be a suggestion that if he does make an approach, it's going to be to the gold side and looking to purchase a part of their shares or something like that. Now, it's just going to be quite interesting, isn't it, to see how it actually pans out, because you look at how things have worked out in the press previously with these sort of stories, in terms of shareholders and people coming forward. Now, we always seem to get linked with people that come in and going to buy the club and then nothing really materialises, but there seems to be a door open. Ex-WHU employees has basically advised that the club are welcoming it and they are sort of going to wait and see what happens. And we have seen other reports suggesting that something is eventually going to happen. It's a really strange one, and it's a sort of a typical weird West Ham story to sort of pop out, but it's one I think to keep an eye on. But at the moment, I don't think there's too much concrete in it. So, but yeah, just to summarise then, as I say, we'll be doing a transfer update later, which will be far more detailed in terms of players we're going for and a bit of movement there. Max Kilman being, I think, the number one target at this stage. But then, if you look at other players as well, Jonathan David as well, I know we've got significant interest in, as well as En-Nesyri. They're all the same players we've been talking about for a little while, but there's a few more now we can talk about as well in that update later. But yeah, just to summarise then, we've got Edson Alvarez is out for 6 weeks, we've got Benrahma now that's very likely to be going to Lyon soon. And Shaquille O'Neal, I wouldn't say watch this space, but it's maybe one to slightly keep an eye on.